Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Julie. This week's video I decided that I would share with you my homemade meat sauce recipe. It's basically a spaghetti sauce and you can use it for spaghetti, putting it over pasta. That's how my husband eats it, with the spaghetti pasta. I have had it over the pasta. I've also had it over asparagus. I've put it over spaghetti squash, the heart of palm that you buy in those packages from the store. Let's see what else. I guess tonight what I'm going to be doing is putting it over cauliflower rice. I've had it over broccoli in the past, but I don't recommend the broccoli. Everything else I guess I would recommend, but not over broccoli. So tonight I'm going to be having it over cauliflower rice just because that's what I have, and I don't want to eat the pasta. I'm still trying to stay away from wheats and breads and pastas and rice and those type of things. So the cauliflower rice will work because it's actually a vegetable. So I will be getting everything out here shortly, and that's what I'm going to make for dinner. So I thought I'd bring you guys along with me too. Okay, so before I get everything out, I guess I will show you my recipe card. As you can see, it's quite well loved. It's called Italian Meat Sauce. It's from an old, I believe it was Betty Crocker cookbook that I got when I was, probably graduating high school. So that's, almost 40 years ago. But anyway, this is it. And basically all you do is you cook the onion in your hot oil, which I'm going to use lard. My husband and I have rendered lard, so I'm going to use that. You add the meat and the garlic and you brown it lightly. And then when your hamburger's done, you basically add everything else. You simmer it for 2.5 hours until the sauce is basically as thick as you want it. And you do have to stir it occasionally, just so it doesn't stick to the bottom. But I use a Dutch oven, so you want to use a thicker bottomed pan or kettle, and that's why I just use the Dutch oven, because they heat up better, and you can cook them at a consistent temperature for a longer period of time. So basically, when you're all done, you take out the bay leaf, and then it says here to serve it over hot spaghetti, and then to put like Parmesan cheese on it. But you can add, you can put it over whatever you want. Like me, I'm going to use the cauliflower rice, and you can top it with whatever. If you like a different kind of cheese than Parmesan, like you can use grated Parmesan. You can use the shredded that's more fresh, that you have to keep refrigerated. We usually use both, actually. I'll dig out both containers and then just whatever my husband wants to use. So I will get everything out and I'll be right back. Okay, so like I said, we are going to be using lard tonight. This is the lard. It's actually from pig fat. We have a farmer in the family, and that's where we get the beef. It's actually from his farm, so we have him butcher it and take it. The butcher takes it to his butcher shop, and then they grind it all up. They cut it, how you want your pieces of meat, and then package it however you like it. And then we get it and bring it home, put it in the freezer, and have it for like a year or so. Our last full cow, it's been about 2 years now, and we're just getting to the last little bit of it. So, but anyway, like I said, we're using lard instead of, on the recipe card, it says vegetable or salad oil actually, but I'm going to use lard. And I'm probably not going to use, like with everything else, I modify it and Julify it. So I'm probably only going to use 1 tablespoon of the lard. But the half a cup of onion, I'm probably going to use, I have a little bit in the bottom there that's cubed up, and I'm probably going to at least use half of what's here. And then you need 1 pound of beef. Sorry that I'm moving down the row here. Okay, and then you need 2 cloves of garlic, which my husband likes this elephant garlic. So that's what I'm going to be using. It's not quite as potent as regular garlic. Okay, and then you need 2, and it says 1 pound cans of tomatoes, which they are not 1 pound anymore. They're 14.5 ounces. But I use one, this is like a stewed, it's got onion, celery, and green bell pepper in it. Sorry, diced. And I use the diced stuff just so that it's easier for me, that I don't have to cut it all up. And then the other one, this is Members Mark. I believe we got it at Sam's Club. One of our son and daughter-in-law go to Sam's, so we got that. And then like the tomato sauce, we need, it says 2 8-ounce cans, which is 16 ounces, but this is a 15 ounce. So that's what I've got. That's what I'm using. I got that at Walmart. Great value. Mushrooms, it calls for, let's see, a 3-ounce can. And this is actually a 4.5 ounce. And sometimes I use fresh mushrooms. I just slice them and chop them up myself. And that comes out good. It gives you a real good earthy flavor to your sauce. It's wonderful. Okay, and these are my spices. I've got parsley flakes, oregano, sage, salt, thyme, and my bay leaf over there. And then my measuring cup on the end is because you have to add 1 cup of water to the sauce after you get everything all together. And that will help it thin out so that all the flavors kind of mesh together. And then as it's cooking and simmering down, it will evaporate out, the water will, and you get this lovely, lovely sauce. So that's it. I will get my onion chopped up here, and we'll start getting the lard heated up in my Dutch oven, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I have my Dutch oven heating up. I grabbed my lard, sorry about that. And you can tell I'm very inexperienced. But basically, I'm taking just a regular spoon that you use for dinner, the bigger one, and I'm going to plop it into there and let it warm up. I don't know if you can hear it, but I'm going to let that melt. Take this out of the way. And I'm going to show you my onions. Okay, this is a little Tupperware container. I cubed up half of that onion, and then I just used whatever we had left over from dinner last night in the bowl and added them together. And this is probably, I would guess a large onion. I don't know what size these bowls are, but I'm guessing they're probably at least a cup. It probably says on the bottom, but I'm not going to tip it over at the moment. But once this lard is melted, and I have to grab a spoon here, grab one of my wooden spoons. You basically just, like you do, brown up. You don't really have to brown them. You just want to make them cook a little bit so like that they're translucent, where you can almost see through them. That's the point. I don't get them where you can totally see through them, the translucent, but I get them where they're like halfway there. You want them just at least softened, which, this is going to stew for a couple hours, so they're going to be soft anyway. But they're going to get almost mush and dissolve right into the sauce. You're going to have, like, my husband likes more chunky spaghetti sauce, so that's why I don't cook them down quite, as much as I can. And I'm just going to dump the onions right in there. Hopefully you can hear them. They're starting to sizzle. So I just swish them around in the melted lard. And this only takes maybe a minute or two. Hopefully you can see this. I might have to bring you in a little closer even. but I just swish them around in the oil, let them sit for a little bit. Okay, I'll see if I can bring you in closer without shaking you up too much. There we go. That might be good here. As long as my stand isn't in my way and I knock you over into the pan. Oh, and that was my alarm to actually start dinner, so I'm a little bit ahead of schedule, which is good. But just want them to cook up a little bit. That's probably good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut open my hamburger, get that added in, break it up with my spoon. So I just throw it in a big chunk like that. And then I just take my spoon and do this. I do have one of those little hamburger masher things, but I find that just using my wooden spoon is just as good, you know. So I will let this cook down, and while this is hamburgers browning, I'm actually going to go ahead and cut up my couple cloves of garlic and get those ready. So I'll come back and stir this now and again, and I'll show you what it's like when I put the garlic in. Okay, so I wanted to let you know I checked on that Tupperware container, and it is a 1 cup container. So this here is, see, it's a little pink here, a little pink through here, so I got to cook it down a little bit more here before I add the garlic. But I wanted to show you how it was browning. And now when this is all done browning, you do not have to get any of the beef fat or the lard out of here, which this beef fat, not the fat, the beef, actual beef is from, you know, a farm. I didn't get it at the store, so it's a lot leaner cut, because you can basically tell the butcher how much fat you want added. So they don't add much fat unless you want them to. And in the store, you basically only have a choice of a few different ones. So this is about to the point I want to put in my garlic. So I'll bring you back here in a second. Okay, so I want to add my garlic in, and see how I did not mince it. It's like a half a cube. Like when I cube the onions, these garlic pieces are about half of that size. So I just put them in the pan, stir them up, cook them for maybe 1 or 2 minutes, and then I go right into adding the rest of the ingredients, the tomatoes, the tomato sauce, the mushrooms, and I will actually keep the mushrooms in larger pieces. I might cut down the some of the real giant ones, but I keep basically everything whole from here on out. All right. Okay, so in goes the 2 cans of tomatoes. One is stewed and one's not, and you could use 2 stewed or you could use 2 plain, either way. Okay, I've got 1 whole can of my tomato sauce. And I will probably put a little bit of water in here just to clean out the remnants of what's in the can. So what I usually do is just drain the mushrooms water into here, which is, I don't know if it's a real super good idea to do that, but it's just something I do. And then I'm going to actually cut up those mushrooms. And I will get all of my spices out here. I got to get my measuring spoons out. I didn't do that yet. So I will cut up the mushrooms. I will stir this up. Actually, I can do that right now. Just stir it however you want, as much as you want, as little as you want. It almost looks like a chili at this point, except there's no, beans or anything in it, no peppers, things that people usually put into chilies. But you can actually use this as a lasagna sauce too, with or without mushrooms. We've had it both ways and it's awesome. Okay, so I'm going to get my mushrooms cut up and I'll get my spices together here and I'll be right back. Okay, so once you get all this mixed in, I grab my mushrooms and I just gave them a rough chop. Can't really see them very well, but they're not in big giant slices anymore. Okay. So I'll stir those in just real lightly. Okay. I have all of my spices, even the bay leaf. I got the parsley, the oregano, the sage, which for oregano and sage, it says to use oregano or sage. You use 1.5 teaspoons. What I do is I use 1 teaspoon of oregano and 1/2 teaspoon of sage. Okay. Then my salt's in there, my thyme's in there, and the bay leaf. So I'll just dump all that in. Okay. And then I have my 1 cup of water. And I just dump it right in, right on top. Okay. Now we're going to let this come up to a boil. All right. You got to make sure it's boiling, at least a light boil. Doesn't have to be bubbling crazy out of control, but you want it to at least be somewhat boiling, a slight boil, so that way you can turn it down and simmer it. You want it to stay at your boiling. So when you simmer it, you want to at least make sure that those bubbles are at least popping a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep continuing to heat this up. And when it comes to a boil, I'll bring you back and I'll show you what I mean by that. Okay, you can probably see down towards the bottom here, down here, that's just around the edges, that's just starting to boil. And up on top here and in the middle, you want to at least have it to this point. But I'm going to stir it. Sorry, I have really bad grammar some days. But I'm going to stir it and then let it come up to a little harder boil. And then I will set my alarm, my timer, I should say, on my stove. I'll set it for half-hour increments, and every half hour I will come back and check on it and make sure it's still boiling, not too excessively, but that it is still boiling, it's still simmering, because I want to keep it at that simmer. You don't want to boil it really super hard, because then the flavors don't have a chance to kind of mesh together. And and then you have a chance of burning it too. If it sticks to the bottom, it'll burn the sauce. And I did that one time, just one time over all these years. I actually stuck it to the bottom of the pan. I was using just a regular kettle, like a soup kettle, and I thought it would be fine, and it stuck to the bottom of it. I didn't check it soon enough, I guess, and it was burnt and it tasted horrible. I had to throw the whole batch away. It was nasty. So you definitely don't want to burn this, because tomatoes do not taste real great when they're burnt. I mean, if they're charred somewhat, yeah, like fire roasted tomatoes are awesome, but you don't want to like char them and burn them where they're almost like a stick of wood burnt, campfire burnt. So, but you do, like right now, this is probably perfect. You want to keep it at this level of boiling. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my timer for 30 minutes. Okay. And then I'm going to turn my burner down, like maybe medium low, low medium, and make sure it's going to continue to bubble. And then I will turn it, down even more. But I want it to stay at this level of boiling. So that way it'll thicken up really nice. So anyway, I will show you what it looks like at different stages here, and we'll go from there. So the timer just went off the first 30 minutes, and I wanted to show you this is how you want to keep it boiling at this level. So it's not really boiled down too very much yet, but a little bit. And I also wanted to mention, I got out a couple things. I got the noodles for my husband out that I have to boil later. But I have two smiley faces. You probably noticed that, but that when I put these on my recipes, that means that Dan and I both like it. And this is the grated cheese that I use, which is almost gone, but I do have another container. It was from Walmart. And this is the Parmesan cheese that we use. You have to refrigerate it. But this is the shredded one. They also have one that's called shaved, which we've never actually tried. But I'm assuming it's just as good as this shredded one is. So, but that's what we'll sprinkle it, sprinkle one of these or both on our spaghetti when we go to eat it. But I just wanted to show you that. I'm getting more things out and ready to go. I got to put the one Parmesan cheese back in the fridge, but we're getting there. So I set my timer for another half hour, and I'll come and check on the sauce when that half hour goes off. So this is what it looks like after an hour. As you can see, it's starting to thicken up. Still got a ways to go yet. It's probably got another hour. But that's what it looks like. So I reset the timer for another 30 minutes, and I'll come and check on it after that. Okay, so the timer went off again. Whoops. It's starting to really thicken up nice. So I think maybe one more half hour. Yeah, there's still a little bit of liquidy in there. Okay, yeah, I'll set it for another half hour, and we'll see what it looks like at that point. So the timer has a minute and a half left, and it'll be 2 full hours since this has been cooking. And oh, there's the bay leaf right there. But it's nice and thick, and I don't know if you can see, like that was basically where the top rang when I first started, and it's boiled down maybe an inch, but probably need to get that out of there before I start stirring it up. But that's what it looks like, and it is going to be a wonderful dinner over either the pasta that Dan's going to eat or the cauliflower rice that I'm going to eat. So I hope everyone has a great night and day, I guess, whichever you are watching me from, either daytime or nighttime. But have a great day. Bye, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for watching the video. If you liked what you saw, would you please hit the thumbs up, give me a like, and if you have any comments or questions, please put them in that area below. And if you'd like to, please subscribe. I know I'm not a very large channel yet, but I do plan on putting out a video every week or every other week. So thank you for your continued support. Hope everyone has a great day. Bye.